the sun may be setting on our summer break, but it is certainly rising as we go racing once again for the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan. We are back for the season 2024-25. It's myself, Cam Roger, Ewan O'Leary alongside me as we come to the Auto Club Speedway for the first round of action. Of course, just a few short months ago, we crowned Michael Haflidsson the champion of this great league as he won back at Phoenix. However, of course, we are going to be going into a new season. Haflidsson and his team are no longer with us, so that opens the door to a new champion. May it be Jesper Eriksson, who of course won the regular season in such style last year. However, he fell short during the playoffs and wasn't able to get the job done when it mattered at that final race in Homestead. It's going to be a long season. We have 14 races this time in the regular season, and then a 5-race playoff ending in Phoenix this year in the desert to crown our champion. As I say, we start here at Auto Club. We go to many of the famous tracks in North America, the likes of Talladega, Homestead, a double-header in Iowa before finishing up at Daytona for the regular season. Then the 5-round playoffs of Las Vegas, Dover, Richmond, Michigan, and of course Phoenix. That is going to be a fun one. A nice short track to end the season. It's going to be a fairly familiar one in terms of some of the tracks that we go to, some of the names you're going to see out there on the track, but it is an all-new car as well. We move from the next-gen NASCAR into the Xfinity car. It's going to be a new one for the drivers, although we did use it in the Finland versus Sweden just a few short months ago. And it went down so well, they decided to keep it going. And of course, next week as well, we start the road version, the road series here for Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan, where we'll go IndyCar racing as well. So loads of racing coming your way each and every week between now and, of course, May next year. Ewan will bring you in, as you did, of course, do the Finland versus Sweden not too long ago. You got your first taste of what this community is like. It's a good group of guys, and we go racing once more.
Yeah, looking forward to a full season this time round in this series, and looking forward to this Xfinity car as well. I really enjoyed Finland versus Sweden, I've got to say. It was a unique way of counting up scores and so on and having a race, and very much enjoyed the twists and turns that we had throughout that one. However, very much looking forward to a full season this time around, with playoffs included towards the back end of next year as well. It's going to be a long season, as you say, but should be a fun season, and there's plenty to talk about and get used to in this opening race.
Absolutely, and qualifying is just finishing, and we have Bohlin up there on the pole position, Helmbro alongside him, and of course the 37 Jesper Eriksson there on the second row of the grid. Bohlin definitely came out swinging at the end of last season. That's Oliver Bohlin in the 72 machine, and came in too late in the championship really to get involved in the playoffs, but is definitely looking good. Going on that pole position, Peter Helmbro, he was a couple of times pole winner last season as well. Maybe fell off a bit in the races, but certainly looking very sharp. Linus Broström, of course, series organizer, is up there in 5th place as well. Let's look at the full grid, though, as we see the new cars and the new liveries for this new season of racing. Oliver Bohlin, Peter Helmbro on that front row, with Jesper Eriksson and his teammate Oscar Fredriksson on the second row. Linus Broström and Dominic Savicki there on the third row. Rob Eriksson is in 7th, with Melvin Åkesson is in 8th place. Aroldsson, definitely one to look out for the championship there in P9. Skogland, the sponsor of this race, in P10. Then we have Temendo in P11 and Forsland in P12. Of course, a huge grid of drivers. Heukenschott is there in 13th place, with Helm in 14th, Hagman, Lundberg, Nyholm and Gantz rounding out your top 18. Kenneth Tier will be in 19th place, with Dahlstrand in 20th. Strömberg, Bjorn Broström, Linus' his father there in 22nd. Pfeff and Zachrisson rounding out. Then we got Hagström, Holmbaum, Reinbach, Wang, Motin and Nordgren in P30, and they keep on going. It's a big old grid here. Alto, Bratberg, Forschel, Wildebur, Pebbles, Kinnell. See quite a few names returning from last season, but also good to see some new names coming in as well. Blomqvist, Dan Holmer down in 38th place, and Stiller, your 39 cars for this race. It's certainly a big grid of cars, Ewan, as we see some of the drivers. There's Oliver Bohlin, and I just wonder, first race of the season, how would you enter lap 1?
Well, with caution, I think. Getting through this opening race, getting off to a good start is a great place to be, but what a great position it would be in to win this opening race. And I think with so long to go until the playoffs, if you've got serious designs on winning the championship, I think you are going to go for this race win. For that burden off of your back throughout the rest of the season, you'll certainly want to confirm your place in those final 5 rounds, or at least in the first round of the playoffs anyway. So that would take a significant weight off your shoulders here at the first race, and with so long to go until you have to think about points and whether you'll make it or not, I think we will see maybe not so much caution and maybe people just going for it really, and trying to win the race to alleviate that pressure for the remainder of the season.
Absolutely. As you was mentioning, the playoffs are a big factor for these drivers to think about. We have the, of course, 14 races before then. If you get yourself a win, you're basically confirmed to be in the playoffs. Because, well, there's 15 places in the playoffs, 14 races. So that is looking good. But then it'll come down to all of the extra bonus points. So you get 5 bonus points for the playoff with a race win, 1 per stage. The stage here today, we've got 109 laps here for the Trashcar Customs, 350 at Auto Club Speedway. And, yeah, 109 laps, stage at lap 50. But the fuel tank will only go about 40-45 laps, so they're going to have to pit at some point before that stage. How long do you go? The tyre drop-off is quite big, and we'll be finding out what they want to do. Do you want to go long, try and have some fresher tyres towards the end, or do you want to pit early, get that track position, and then just hope that a caution doesn't hinder your strategy? It's going to be a tough one. A new season is underway, and the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan is surely going to be the place to be. Every Thursday evening here over the next few months, the Trashcar Custom Opening 350 is about to get underway as we start a new season. Who knows how it is going to end, but these new cars are surely going to be a new challenge for everyone. Oliver Bohlin gets us underway as we come down towards turn number 1. They look to get away fairly nicely in the background. They seem to run off turn 2 very nicely at the moment. Bit of single file in the top 5 or so before we go to double file down the back straightaway for the first time. That is the 35 of Robert Eriksson trying to slide his way up the inside there. Got the 71 of Linus Brewster. We've got the 112 of Oscar Fredriksson up on his outside lines. We already go 3 wide, and I think every groove is going to be used here.
Yeah, we were told that every line is viable around here at Fontana this week, and especially as the tyres drop off as well. It's such a wide circuit. There are so many places you can go here, and that means that we are going to see this kind of racing 3 wide, throwing it into turn 1 and 2 all over again. It is a very, very wide racetrack indeed, and they will make sure to use all of the lines they possibly can, but hopefully avoid contact with one another as well, because they do have so much space to use.
Yeah, they certainly do. The good thing with the Highline is obviously you can use so much more speed. However, it's quite a bit more distance, so it's really just a game of, do you want to save a bit of tyres, or do you want to try and hold that inside line? It looks like the high line, or at least the mid line, is being used of most of the drivers as we come across the line to clock in lap number 3. 3 wide, we go in towards turn number 1, just in behind Robert Eriksson. There's a few guys there all battling in for position. He's got Nihom Skoglund and Hogan Schott as well, the 101 in the black machine, as he tries to work his way down the back straightaway. At this point in the race, though, you do just want to get yourself into a bit of a rhythm, but the tyres will start wearing in very, very quickly. Shot there down the inside. Can he try and make it up the inside of Nihom in the 58? But they're running side by side.
They are, and there'll be a car up on the outside of them as well. Have to be careful. Oh, it's always the danger if you don't quite realise how many cars are on your outside. You can find yourself in real trouble, and unfortunately we've already gone caution. An incident further down in the pack. I think Magnus Hagman and Ole Zachrisson have been involved in the opening caution of the season.
Yeah, it didn't take long, did it? 2 miles around here, so we got 6 miles into the race, into the season. Unfortunately, we get the first caution. We do, of course, have a lap time, sorry, a race time limit, I should say. So 109 laps, but an hour and 45 minutes, whichever comes first. We should have time for some in the region of about 6 or 7 cautions here. Someone getting loose in that white machine. Then it was the 39 there going around, I think just about avoiding contact with some other cars, but he himself, going for the spin, brought out that caution.
think it's thankful for everybody that was near the back, so that not many drivers got involved within it. Brief pit stop for Magnus Hagman, as far as I can see on the timing. Not sure whether that was just starting for the pit lane or what was going on there, but after just 3 laps, everybody faking it, but nobody coming in. It would be slightly ludicrous to see anybody taking tyres here.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, filling up with fuel doesn't really make much sense because you've literally just used 3 laps of it. But the tyres, and this is an interesting one. We discussed this before we went on air. Last season, we had 5 sets of tyres per race. We now only have 4, and the tyre wear is higher than last season. So in a race where you're expecting to do 2 stops minimum, so you're going to need 3 sets of tyres, you only have that 1 extra set to use at some point. So if we get a caution at the right time, maybe that'll be the one, but surely it's too early now to sacrifice this first set already.
It absolutely is. 4 sets of tyres, as you say, should be split into quarters, I would argue, throughout the day. And so I would want to see these first set of tyres go 30 laps. Personally, I know that's not quite splitting it directly into quarters, but it's as good as you can get. So that 30 is around where I'd be pitting in first time round. However, if we do stay green for a long time after this, then you'd want to be sort of going and running down the fuel tank maybe to at least a third of the way through the race. So that would be 36, 37 laps in this race. That's when I'd be wanting to see. But so, you know, very surprised to see anybody coming in. We have had a few takers down in the pack, and maybe they will see some benefit, but I don't really see the point with so few tyres to change onto and such a race as this. It's a puzzling call for me.
Absolutely. I guess if you're down the back though, you've kind of got nothing to lose, and maybe there was some damage in there for some drivers. Looks like, yeah, definitely was some tyres being taken as well, so they think it's going to be useful, but we'll have to find out if that is the way to go. Because you have to think as well, excuse me, I have to think as well, the main reason to go on new tyres is to have offset to some other people, to say they stay out 30, 40 laps, go basically a full tank, but you pit a lap 20, you're going to get 20 lap undercut. We're told it's about 2.5 seconds over the full tank, so after half tank, that's a second a lap that you're going to be gaining on them, whereas right now, it's probably going to be at max a 1/10 of a second.
Exactly, it is not really worth it, I would say, as there's the race information, the important things. The stage on lap 50 is an interesting one, since the fuel can go about 45 laps around here at the very maximum. So how do you split that one? Do you try and split the first part of the race in half? But certainly pitting this early on would be a strange decision. We'll see if we need those 2 green-white checkers as well at the bottom of the race information. I'm not entirely sure if we will or not. Hopefully we get a greener race than that, though, and a longer run to the very end of the race as well, because it is more interesting, in my opinion, when we've got a nice green flag run to the end.
Absolutely. So what we've got at the front now is we've got Oliver Bohlin there in the 72 machine, and then next to him is Jesper Eriksson in the 37. And Jesper was the driver I mentioned earlier. He, of course, was basically the favourite for the championship last year. It didn't quite work out, and in the end, he actually finished 5th in the championship due to being the last of the playoff runners. Let's see if he can have a better run this season, but he has to make it to the playoffs, and with that, he needs to first get a win. And this is the first opportunity to do so. Oliver Bohlin will take us back to the restart of the Trashcar Customs opening 350 here for the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan as we get underway once more, and we get the run down towards turn 1. And what start that was from Oliver Bohlin, who's really stepping up level by level in this series. Around the outside is going to be for Jesper Eriksson to hold on to that second place. Peter Helmgro in the Cyan machine on the inside line might just lose out from Brewstrom coming around the outside.
Yeah, here comes the run from the outside. Suzuki going to be pushed along just about. Goodness me, that was a really hairy moment for Fredriksson as well in the 112. Just about hung on to it. Helbro still alone really on the inside, but now we'll have some friends maybe on the exit of 4. The rest of them run around the outside of him all over again. It just squeezes up in front of Fredriksson. There's some very very close moments, and nobody taking it easy early in the season, that's for sure.
Yeah, and already some rear ends wiggling around after just a couple of laps on these tyres, as Hellbro drops back quite a lot over the course of that lap. Ericson, of course, getting past as well in that famous livery in the number 24. Someone's off to the inside there. I think that was Helm in the 517. Comes back up. Lost a couple of places, though. Fredriksson at least gets him for P7 as Aukson makes his way up inside the top 10 as well. On your screen is still Peter Helmbro with the 5-7. Helm now getting up the inside of him. They're going to slide up towards the wall on the outside, leaving each other loads of space this time around.
Yep, and to the end of another lap again here. And the battle between the top and bottom line is one that I've not really decided which is winning for the moment, to be honest with you. It is pretty close as far as that goes. Ericsson and Bohlin again close to one another through turns 1 and 2. Ericsson holding on to the lead, but the two so close together. Looks like they might just be side by side into 3 and 4 again.
Yeah, they certainly might do. Such a fun racetrack. You know, it's not just one where you're going to sit behind and follow. You can go side by side, and that is what Ericsson's trying to do. Round the outside of Oliver Bohlin to take the lead. It's going to be the long way round because, of course, it's not a straight start-finish line. And as he comes across the line, is he going to lead the lap? He should do. Of course, there is an extra couple of points for leading a lap in the race as well. I'm sure he'll lead many more. We still go side by side through turns 1 and 2. Oliver Bohlin has that inside run. Should have that track position, but does he have the momentum as we come out on towards the back straight, up towards the wall they go, they squeeze each other, and Bohlin chops him off as the 37 has to sit behind.
And these Xfinity cars do provide fantastic racing, but these drivers are providing it as well. They're being very aggressive with one another, I've got to say, especially in terms of fitting back into line on the high side next to the wall, which you do spend a lot of time next to the wall around this circuit, making sure you've absolutely got space just enough to slot yourself into line that we're seeing. A long line at the moment early on in this race. There's a look back from the very front of the race, and you can see that nobody really going anywhere near the white line at the very bottom. It's all happening towards the wall, and when you are so close to the wall, the proximity to the wall makes it very well, dangerous indeed in terms of getting damage and in terms of sliding up into position. But so far everybody's managed it with only just that one caution as we go on board with Linus Broström looking at the inside of 3 and 4 for second place here.
Absolutely, and one thing we have to remember is quite a few of these drivers have changed teams as well. So Aronson, who was the teammate of well, and also Fredriksson here, as well as Jesper Eriksson. They're all teammates last year, but they've all disbanded and joined some different teams. So there is Aronson on the inside in the 24. He's now part of Morby Bright Esports, now Linus Broström's team, and Oscar Fredriksson here, and also Jesper Eriksson. They have joined Simrace Sweden. So a few different driver changes, a few different teammates out there. I'm sure they're going to remember who their friends are, though, if they ever need a helping hand at some point during the season. And there's Fredriksson, who came up very slowly but surely over the course of last season. He ended up finishing 10th, so he did get himself at least through the first round of the playoffs. He wasn't able to progress much further, but certainly a driver up and coming, and he was actually looking very strong in the Formula 4 series we had as well. It is the Bright Esports 1-2, though, as Broström finally gets past Eriksson there, although the 37 does get the run, but Broström just cuts him off there. Is the up and under going to work? It might do down the back straight away.
Well, he's not got any slipstream here, Eriksson, so I think he'll be in trouble. Oh no, he's got good straight line speed on the back straights, down in towards 3 and 4. Have the inside though. Never really fancied the inside line through 3 and 4 actually. It's kind of it makes you run a little bit poor onto the front straight, but Eriksson's doing okay here. He's just going to struggle without the slipstream again now though, and the momentum, and Helm is going to really close in as well in the light blue in 4th position, looking to maybe take advantage of this, maybe make it 3 wide, as you can already see visually these drivers going slower than at the start of the race. We're already at around half a second drop off, only 14 laps in.
Yeah, absolutely. Helm, he's racing for Hell Racers. Seems like it's his own team in that number 55, up there in 4th place, challenging some of the best in this series. Eriksson still tries to hold it to the inside of turn 3, but the outside for the 71 is looking very nice to hold on. He can just run up nicely towards the wall, and hopefully the 37 doesn't follow him and push him in there as they continue to go side by side. It's definitely a racetrack where you are able to do that quite nicely, and then we come in towards turn 1, and Eriksson has to come back up to cover that one off. But you can really dive down to the inside of turn 1 down towards turn 2 here to cover someone off, which is kind of what Brewster's doing. But you see the 37, he stays high to try and get that momentum, but no, just not enough to stay in. So yeah, looking very nicely and calm at the moment in time. Here's Kenneth Tier, of course, returning from last season. He was also a driver who had a few good runs up towards the front. He's down at 15 for the moment.
Yeah, qualified 90, so he has made up a few places. Just up ahead of him right now, by the way, is Peter Helmbro in the 13th position, the number 58, and he has been struggling so far in this race. He's dropped more than anybody else inside the top 20 at the moment, so he surely will be, maybe not easy pickings for Kenneth Tier here, but might be able to make a move as he has a look at the inside, just seeing what's what on the way out of turn 2. Side by side just up ahead of him. He's going to stay in line on this occasion, but such a big field, so busy all the way throughout. Everybody's still on the lead lap happily as well, and so far clean and green racing in this second run of the race.
Yeah, it's a nice track actually to start the season, really. It's not necessarily a difficult track in terms of the driving skill required. It does need some finesse and fine-tuning to get the speed through the corners, of course, but it's not one of these tighter tracks where you having to absolutely slam on the brakes in the corners.
Sorry, and isn't Bristol going to be a shock in 2 weeks' time? That is not nice.
Yeah, round 2 of the season, absolutely, but we are having a bit of a dogfight up towards the front here. Helman, Savicki, the 55 and the 517, I should say, and the 6 are having an absolute titanic battle here towards the front. They've swapped position a few times over the last couple of laps, and now they go side by side once more on the exit of the final corner, and the 517 will get the run down the front straightaway, but I don't think the 6 is done with this.
Yeah, Helm was closing on the battle between Brostrom and Ericsson because of side-by-side going on. Now he's involved in it himself. So Wiki on the outside line, Ericsson on the very inside, and this is the view from Oscar Fredriksson on those up ahead. Ericsson's not going to get anywhere here. His momentum off onto the back straight wasn't good enough, but Sawicki's might well have been.
Might be enough down the inside of turn 3. He goes very low, one of the lower lines we've seen, although the 24 is even lower. Arvidsson in behind. And let's see 3 wide on the exit of turn 4. Can Arvidsson get involved? Maybe get a double move down the front straight. No, that's covered off by the 6. But he's certainly getting involved bit by bit, as this is the style of racing. You sort of gain a couple of inches every lap, and at some point you'll be able to dive it down the inside. So the 6 again holds a very tight line, washes up a little bit mid-corner. And it seems like Helm is trying to use that momentum on that high line to keep Arvidsson at bay. He's going to be blocked off by the 6 though. Can he get the space to the inside? No, he's just going to push draft down the back straights.
Yeah, so he'll take the gains from just pushing on the way towards turn 4. Arvidsson goes very deep though into 3 and 4, and now Oscar Fredriksson's right there. We're on board with him again about a lap and a half after we were previously, and look how much closer he is than last time we were on board. Out over the end of another lap, still 90 to go here in this race, and well, if there's plenty more laps like this one, then we'll be very much looking forward to it. Arvidsson and Helm still side by side, as Arvidsson has a good run down the inside, and on the low side seems to be gaining some ground.
And we are about that 1 second off the lap times already. So we are going in with the information that we are told as the 24 has got past Helm. So they've both got past Helm and now dives it to the inside. Can he complete that double overtake that he's been trying for a couple of laps? It looks like he might have. No, not quite enough just to get the rear bumper in front of the 6. And look how much more momentum you get on the outside line. In the wall in the background though, Helm has touched that, and that is going to be Fredriksson diving it in towards turn 1, I'm sure.
Yeah, look at him on the low side here. Whether that will be successful for him, I'm not entirely sure. But Helm might be slightly put off. Oh, and there was maybe slight contact between the 2 cars that time. So Helm has hit the wall and another driver now, although I'm not entirely sure hitting Fredriksson was really his fault. He's going to get the slipstream on the back straight and at least hang on to 7th place.
Unfortunately gets through as well in the 002 car, with actually maybe not enough momentum to hold in towards turn 3, but certainly Helm in the wall a couple of times in 1 lap. Don't always see that. I was saying it was quite an easy track to start the season, but let's see how this one goes. We are at about halfway into the stint though, so we were told up to 2 seconds of drop off, and just before that I was saying we are down to 1 second, so the tyres are starting to wear. and that makes this battling even harder. The car's going to be moving around, and that's why they're sliding up and starting to get in contact with some of these walls. At the front, we are still seeing the top 3, top 4 in that same order, but in behind, these drivers are still trying to find their place of where they want to be. Remember, of course, we have the stage at lap 50, and there'll be an extra 10 points for the win, going down to 1 point for 10th place.
Yeah, but unlike in real life, we don't have to stop and then restack them all again. Just the way it should be in real life, really, isn't it? But there you go. We can do those things in sim racing, which is good. As we go back in the pack and have a look at another one of our onboard cameras with Hakan Shot in 14th position. Feels like we're a little bit more single file now after quite a few laps of side-by-side all-out racing. However, it is going to re-emerge later, I would imagine. Everybody probably is just reeling from the lack of tyres they've got underneath them now. The drop-off has been so severe.
And when the drop-off is severe like this, even 5% makes a big difference. So when we get later in the stint, you're going to see the drivers who looked after their tyres a little bit better will come out and be literally tenths of a second quicker. And I think we're going to be slowly getting to that stage very, very soon. And we're also towards that point of lap 30, Ewan, where you said we might see some potential pit stops as we're getting an overtake for second place. Well, it's even from 4th to 2nd. Ericsson gets up past Ericsson and also his teammate.
That was a very big dive and possibly facilitated by Linus Broström there, because that's unusual. Here goes Ericsson, though, trying to just break up the pairing, because if you get teammates together at any NASCAR, or most NASCAR circuits anyway, that are not the short tracks, then you are in for a bit of trouble. Oh my goodness. Ooh. I'm not sure whether that was just the way the car was angled or whether that was a very big slide, but I think it was the latter. That was remarkable from Ericsson, and he will pay for it with some of his positions.
Oh, he certainly will. So he almost had second, but he's going to be 5th instead as Savicki gets past him down towards turn 1. Look at the momentum on the outside line, though, for the 37. Can he be chopped off by the 6? Not quite. So he's going to be actually pretty fortunate, because then he can get the slipstream ahead from the 71 machine. So they might swap around once more as we come down towards turn 3. But no, it looks like it's going to be the 6 diving up the inside. But for the 37, I mean, that's a lot of risk to be taken, but sometimes you just get a slide in. Once again, he is wiggling that rear end a little bit and just needs to be keeping those tyres in check.
He's certainly got a loose race car at the moment. That's to use the right terminology, or the strange terminology. Anyway, down the inside in towards 1 and 2. He should have this position again, although Broström might just be in the way for him a little bit. I think it'll be okay. He can slide up into position and get back to 4th place. Now, just seeing our first green flag pit stop of the season, by the way. Thomas Knauth has just been in, and very notably, it is on the exact halfway mark of the first stage, or the stage, I should say. So, it is maybe a ploy to take some stage points. He was quite a long way back anyway, so I'd be surprised if it was a ploy to take some stage points, but I wonder if one of those drivers towards the front is going to split this stage in half to try and maximise tyres, or whether they will just worry about the end of the race instead.
Yeah, as this is like the very opening of the window as such, I'm not sure if anyone at the very front is going to take that. Someone might do it early, but I think it might still be another 5 laps or so. They'll just want to give that extra little margin. But here he is in P39, otherwise known as last, and a lap down. But when other people start to pit, he should go back onto that lead lap very nicely, subject to there being no caution to spoil that strategy. Savicki's still trying to confirm his position past the 37, but it looks like it isn't quite enough, as maybe Jesper can dive back under him. No, that is cut off there by the 6. He's getting down low to make sure he holds that in towards turn number 1. Or maybe not, actually, because Jesper's going to dive at last minute instead.
Oh yeah, pushing into turn 1 and then deciding to make the overtake anyway. Slightly strange, but anyway, through he goes on the inside. It's almost like a replay of a couple of laps ago. Can he slide back into line? The answer is just about yes, but again, the margin's so fine, so Ricky will try and go back through again on the inside line here for 4th position, struggling without the benefits of a slipstream that Ericsson has got. They both throw it into the corner quite hard. Broström again sort of in the way, not really by any fault of his own, but he is just halting both of these two from making a proper overtake.
And these guys are really struggling for grip now, down to almost 1.5 seconds off the pace, and that is, I mean, that's quite a lot considering we're I mean, we call it 4 corners, but it's really only 2 corners on a track, and you're losing that much time. You know, about 7/10 or so each corner. It's a lot of less speed that they're carrying out onto the straightaways. As we're getting Oscar Fredriksson confirming himself in this battle as well. They pulled away a little bit from what's turned into Melvin Åkesson in 7th place. He slowly worked himself up from his grid position. Well, so where he was at the end of lap 1, he dropped down a little bit. Now he's dropped back up, jumped back up into P7, and is now well on this battle, trying to get involved with his teammate Jesper Eriksson.
Yeah, so it's all pretty close for 3rd place as Bohlin and Eriksson get further and further away. There's the view from Oscar Fredriksson. So Vicky looking at the inside of Eriksson here. Will he stay alongside by the time they get to the back straight? I think he'll have to slot into line again here. And he does, right in front of Fredriksson. And maybe into 3 and 4 they'll throw it in. As we get to lap 30 in this race, we really are starting to get to the stage where pit stops will be thought about, but green flag pit stops are going to be not the norm, put it that way. We will see a bit of waiting around for those as we continue on with this race. Oh, slightly in the wall, Eriksson there, I think, and he will lose the place as a result.
Yeah, double overtake from Fredriksson being completed there. That's a nice, easy one. Gets past his teammate Eriksson, and also Savicki. I wonder if Savicki was a little bit part of that, but he dives down the inside. And Savicki is actually part of Bright Esports as well. He's not part of the Morby Bright Esports of his teammates Bohlin and Eriksson up ahead for the team's championship, but he is there, another Bright Esports member. So they are looking very good with 4 drivers inside the top 6. Diving up the inside there, not enough though. You can just see the momentum you have on that mid-line. You lose a couple of car lengths on the entry, but then you gain it just mid-corner onto the exit as Eriksson into the wall again.
Yeah, 2nd time in 2 laps for Eriksson, and so Ricky's going to try and go through here for Bright Esports, who have started very brightly, I've got to say, in this season. They're points team champions from 23-24. Looking to get off to a very good start here in California, although round the outside for Eriksson, he'll hold the place with the momentum off of turn 2, and so hangs on to 5th place, and he's going to have to concentrate now on not hitting the wall after turn 4 for the first time in a few laps.
Oh, as Eriksson goes to the front, one by one, he's made his moves, and now he takes the front here on lap 32 as he slides up to the wall at the exit of turn 4. He's got his teammate Oliver Wallen. They're starting to pull away from their 3rd teammate Linus Broström in behind, as it is all 3 of the Morby Bright Sports teammates up there, 1, 2 and 3. They're looking good so far, but we still have a pit stop to come in the next 10 laps or so as we work our way towards the first stage here on lap 50 for the Trashcar Custom Opening 350 at Auto Club Speedway. And it's hard to read just yet who's actually looking good, because we need to see what the strategy is going to be. We need to see how that is going to work when we get later in the race. And who knows, another caution might, just change the ideas for some drivers.
Well, I can tell you exactly what a caution right now would do. It would make everyone pit, I would suggest, after 33 laps. Somewhat surprised not more have decided, you know what, might as well try and come in. Oscar Motin now has also been into pit lane. It's a long way behind Thomas Cannell. I'm not entirely sure where Cannell is actually in the field, but I bet he's making up some positions wherever he is, or unlapping himself at the very least from those around him. But still such a long way to go. It's a big risk to take, pitting in quite so early. One thing I've also figured out a little bit while this race and stint has been going on actually is maybe a reason why some of those drivers towards the back were coming in under that first caution of the race. Maybe they think they can just about make it to lap 50 without stopping again now that they've pitted under that first caution. I slightly doubt that, but I feel like that's the only reason they could have come in.
It is very possible. We did see, especially Linus Broström last season, he was the main person to really do that. I mean, he would tell us he always gives us a little bit of info of what to expect. And sometimes he'd be like, oh yeah, 45 laps. Then he'll go and do 50 lap or 51 you'll need to be able to get back into the pit after the stage. And he did do it a couple of times, but he was a lot slower. I mean, he has lost 2.5 seconds to Wallen Eriksson though, so maybe we'll have to see. The 101 machine there of Håkansson up the inside. He's got a couple of drivers. Don't slide up too high. No, unfortunately he's not going to be able to get past that one. That is Skogland and Tidemo. But no, into the pit lane they come at the end of lap 34, sliding their way in.
Dear me, that was an ungainly pit entry from Stott, but he's in. So down pit lane he goes, monitoring the speed, trying to make sure that he doesn't speed and he can make it into his pit box. Very difficult to do this in case you've never driven a stock car before. It is, and you're normally used to racing road going machines. You can very, very easily overshoot. 4 tyres should be taken though. This is around a third of the way through this race, and this is exactly what I was expecting really. If you split it into thirds under green, then you can just keep 1 set of tyres back for a late race caution should you need one.
And I think we might just do at some point. I mean, you never know with how this series goes sometimes, but we do often have quite a few cautions. We'll have to see how that one goes. But let's see. So 72, Oliver Bohlin from your pole position comes down pit road, and of course has that first pit box with by virtue of being on that pole position. And he'll go up on the jack. So Eracingligan is in the lead. He's got 3 seconds, and then they do have a good couple of seconds to some cars behind, but obviously quite a few other drivers coming down pit lane. It's certainly time for the strategies to come out. Let's see how this one works. There goes Eracingligan, so it is over a lap. There's the 72, so it is over a lap. You lose doing a green flag pit stop.
It certainly is. That is for sure. So who's going to be first of those making their way out? Looks like Oliver Bohlin. I'm looking at Jesper Eriksson though, because he came in a lap earlier and he has gotten through on Dominik Sawicki here. So he has made up places. However, he's not quite gotten past Bohlin, although it is very close. Anybody else surprising really? Not quite in the top 10 or so at the moment. Just wondering now how long the front 10 are going to leave this, because we're still yet to see the top 9 in this race make a pit stop.
So you have to think about the advantage that you have for the new tyres is obviously quite a lot. So you have to choose, do you have that advantage now? You pit a bit earlier, you get an undercut now, but then later in the race, especially in the final stint, you're going to be very slow at the end because you're going to have to do 30, 40 laps at the final stint, whereas someone else can pit with 20 laps to go. You're going to have less fuel because it's a shorter pit stop, and they'll have newer tyres. So they'll gain 5 seconds on fuel, and then they'll literally just be quicker to the end. So it depends where you want to have it, but then you never know if a caution is going to pack everyone back together. So it's a difficult one to decide which way you want to go, but the long stints can work. And yeah, don't count out the people who go quite long here. As we see the other Sim Race Sweden entries, they have quite a lot of teams. They have 3 teams actually. They got the Academy team, the Academy 2, and then the Pro team. The Pros Eriksson, Holmer and Fredriksson. So Holmer moving to them from Bright Esports over the summer as well. There's Tademo coming through the pit lane as he works his way through the 1:38 machine down in 16th place.
Down into the box they go. Nobody having to reverse in yet, as far as we've seen. But yeah, I think if you're not planning on making it to the stage point here, then you might as well come in, because and Eriksson now does that finally. So based on what you said about Linus Broström a minute ago as well, I'm wondering whether he's going for the points at lap 50, but I think that is going to be a stretch for him. If you are not doing that though, it's probably worth coming in now. Splitting this race into thirds, I think under green is probably the best idea, followed by a late race caution maybe where you can use some tyres. You don't want to be left wanting for a set of tyres towards the end of the race, but also you don't want to be wishing you went and used those tyres a bit more readily earlier on in the race by the end either.
Yes, finding that perfect balance, that's the tricky part. There's not necessarily a perfect way to do it, because it also depends what everyone else does, whether your strategy will work out or not. Broström is continuing though up towards the front, but we do need to see where some other drivers have come out. Yes, so Eracingligan has dropped behind Sawicki, Eriksson and Bohlin. So Eracingligan has lost out a bit by staying out. So we're going to see Broström drop down behind all of them. So it's actually looking pretty good for Oliver Bohlin, who I think is still the net leader.
That's still 6 drivers yet to have made a stop yet in this race, by the way. The top 5 plus Tommy Aalto, who is at 9th at the moment. The rest of them in the top 10 pitted under the caution, which is very interesting indeed. The final driver still out there to have pitted under the caution but not have pitted yet is Cedric Holmberg in 13th place, and he's still quarter of a minute ahead of Oliver Bohlin. These drivers who pitted under caution are easily going to make it to the stage points ahead of those who did not.
So you might be right. That was the reason why they stopped. And if they can nick some stage points, that could be very, very helpful later in the season. Although, to be honest, I guess it depends how many wins we see throughout the season. But the wins are going to be important to get yourself into the playoff, but all of these points are going to be very, very important indeed as well. There's Eric Lundberg in the 18. We haven't seen him so far this race, going up high through turns number 3 and 4. It's an awkward pit entry here, actually, coming off turn 4 down to the inside there, very far to the left if you're running up high. He seems to work his way past Helm as Brewstrom does come into the pit lane, lap 43, so he's not going to be trying to go out, but he's going to be undercut massively from some of the other drivers.
Absolutely, that's the real downside. I don't really see the bigger upside for this long first stint, to be honest. But there you go. I could be proven wrong later in the race, and he's not the longest running driver, of course, remaining. The top 4 still yet to have made their pit stops, so he's clearly not alone in this thinking, that's for sure. But we're only about 6 laps away from the stage points now, and it looks like at the moment it's going to be Ole Zacharisson to take the points, because surely the 4 in front of him are going to have to make a pit stop, and the pitters already are not going to catch in time, although they are catching very quickly.
Scotland has come into the pit lane. I'm just thinking though, it is going to be, it's going to be right on the limit for them, isn't it? That 45 laps. So I don't think they would have been able to go flat out fuel-wise. They probably had to save just a little bit, but hopefully enough for them to come and take these stage points as one by one. The drivers staying out are still coming into the pit lane. So that is your net leader, but down in 11th place.
He is, but he's gaining quickly. Dan Pepels will be next, who's currently in 10th, but 9 seconds up ahead of Bohlin for the moment, as Lundberg now comes into the pit lane. Last time round, Bohlin, by the way, was at 1.7 seconds quicker than Ole Zacharisson, but there's only 5 laps to go.
Certainly is. Lap 46 we're on. There's Zacharisson there and Hogman battling it up towards what will eventually be the front of the pack. So Hogman's got himself to the front of the drivers who stopped at that very first caution on lap 4. And is that going to be the move? We were confused at the time with what they were necessarily thinking to do, but we weren't thinking this far ahead into the race, because we have stayed green since that first caution, and it looks like they might have just enough fuel to sneak the stage points and then dive down pit road. Helm comes in, so it's just Helmbro out at the front.
Yeah, I was certainly thinking far too much about the very, very end of the race and not nearly enough about the stage points, as into the pit lane comes Tommy Alto in the 87. Now, that's a few drivers who came in under caution. Oh, and has to reverse into the box as well. Does that mean even those who pitted under caution are going to have problems making it here? I wonder. It's entirely possible that they won't make it either.
Potentially. I mean, we were told between 42 and 45 laps by Brewstrom. He then did 43, including the caution. So it might be a little bit close, but if you want to save those, save that fuel and get those extra points, then you're certainly welcome to try and do so. So Bohlin is now up into 7th place, and he's only actually 9 seconds behind Bjorn Brewstrom in the 41 machine. So we are catching. They won't catch quickly enough though for lap 50, unless there's anything absolutely major happens up towards the front. But if that does, I'm sure a caution will come out, and that will hinder the overtaking opportunities anyway.
I wonder if Helmbro is holding back on fuel just to try and get these stage points. Certainly just up ahead of the 2 chasing, Hogman and also Zacharisson as well in 3rd position. Very, very interesting race situation, I've got to say. This is why long green flag runs are great in NASCAR, and why we should get rid of throwing cautions at stage breaks in real life, because long green flag runs are fascinating. You can allow the strategy to really unfurl, and that's exactly what we're seeing at the moment. Very, very interesting indeed, as Ericsson and Savicki go side by side. This is for second of those who have only pitted under green so far.
And Savicki's doing a good job. Up into net 2nd place. Alton is a good 3 seconds behind. So this is very interesting indeed, as Hogman has got Helmbro. So Helmbro is yet to pit in this race. So we're coming on to lap 50. Is Helmbro going to make it, or is he going to be just one lap short? Maybe that is why he obviously lost so much speed, because he was saving that fuel. So on to lap 50, Helmbro, who has not stopped, might just sneak a few points as well. It looks like Marcus Hogman is going to be the one to take the points, as unfortunately, Holmer couldn't quite make it to the stage.
Neither could Daniel Blomqvist either, who comes in right behind, so flies into the pit box. So even those who pitted under caution can't quite make it, and Helmbro is really struggling here. Is going to splutter over the line, I think, for lap 50, but just about going to get the points. It's either going to be 8 or 9 for Helmbro, but it's going to be the full 10 for Marcus Hagman, who qualified down in 15th position. A masterstroke under the caution, I've got to say. In hindsight, it's a masterstroke, as into the pit lane comes Helmbro. He's going to hope that his pit box is quite a long way down, because otherwise he'll be stopping and not getting any stage points anyway, as we get to lap 50 now, finally.
We certainly do. So Marcus Hogman takes the stage win with Zachrison in second and Bjorn Broström in third place. I think Helmbro is actually going to just drop out of that. So Oliver Wallen, I think, should get fourth. Savicki is in fifth. Then we've got Ericsson, Arison, Forsland, Orkerson and Nyholm should be the 10 who get the points. So that is big from those top 3 drivers it was in the end who were able to pit under that first caution and then come out. They have done 46 laps on this stint, so I wouldn't be surprised if they come in basically straight away, maybe list one more lap. But look at the 77 crawling, barely had any juice left, and I don't quite understand that, because he would have needed a whole extra lap to be able to actually get the points properly.
Yeah, if he wanted the points that badly, he should have come in under that first caution, but of course hindsight is a wonderful thing, and Helmbro is going to drop way off the lead lap now after that, which is a real shame for him. So we'll take stock of where everybody is after this in a few moments' time, but we're going to have fairly little drivers on the lead lap after this. I reckon it's going to be only just under 30 now after all of that. And Zachrison, also Broström come in immediately. Hagman can clearly make it one more lap, and then he makes his way into pit lane, successfully having got 12 stage points and of course a playoff point as well.
Yeah, that is some nice driving there from the 12 machine, who's also changed teams from Fours last year, which of course shut down. And here's a battle a little bit further back. There's Heckenschott in the number 101. Now we've got Linus Broström coming around the outside and diving it to the inside, showing the pace that he is coming back with. He lost quite a bit of time though, Linus. I mean, he's currently 9 seconds off the lead. And remember, he was basically following his teammates at one point. So definitely lost a lot of time, but he is going to have fresher tyres as he comes to the battle for third and fourth place. Ericsson on the outside, Aronson on the inside in the 24 machine. The old teammates of last year, both joining different teams for this, but the battles continue as we see Jesper once again sliding on the exit of 4.
Yeah, and Ericsson's going to just, oh yeah, it is Ericsson, trying to get into the slipstream and then have another go into turns 1 and 2. But this very much feels like the race situation we had before all of the madness of pit stops throughout the last 20 laps or so, which is when it was really kicked off and the field was really spread out, and nobody was really sure where anybody was, or I certainly wasn't. So it's good to have a race situation that is recognisable now. We have 29 cars on the lead lap still, with the cars all over this oval, and a very busy racetrack indeed. Thankfully, almost everybody's still remaining in the race, but I reckon Thomas Cannell and Frederick Forsell have had an issue between each other at some point, because they have both been in the pit lane for a very long time.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's turning into a race where we are still not 100% sure of the long-term strategy of, is this sort of undercut as such, let's call it, is that going to be the one with the drivers now who have the track position, or is the faster tyres at the end going to be the one? As we are basically at half race distance now for the Trashcar Custom opening 350 at Auto Club Speedway, as we continue our way on into this first round of the season for the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan. We've got underway once more for this new season, and this new car as well, moving to the Xfinity car from next gen, and it's certainly proving to be quite nice with the tyre wear adding a very different element today. We do have some lapped traffic here getting involved with the leaders. They've got to be careful not to get too much involvement though, and of course slow themselves down.
Certainly will. So 1 second the leading advantage. And by the way, we're about to hit 50 laps under green here in one go, which is about 100 miles. Wonder how long it would take us to beat that, whether we'll go longer on a green flag run this season shortly or whether not. I would imagine in a couple of weeks we probably won't be having very long green flag runs at Bristol, but a few rounds after that we could have some long runs. But yeah, I can't express enough how different these first 4 rounds are. I mean, Auto Club's very unique in its own right. In fact, someone scraping along the wall in the background there. I think it might be Dan Peples who's lost a place, or it could be someone else entirely. Yeah, Bristol very short, Kansas standard 1.5 miles, Talladega Super Speedway. It's a very varied opening 4 rounds.
It's a fun calendar. Well, to be honest, most tracks on the calendar are very interesting, but certainly the ones that we have are a good one. I can't wait to see the doubleheader at Iowa as well. I want to know how this car's going to work at that track. This could be very interesting indeed. Then of course we go to New Hampshire as well, which we didn't last year. Nice little shorter track as well. They are the fun ones, although the super speedways are pretty cool. I mean, what we saw last year, I think it was Talladega, which was towards the end of the regular season, might have even been the final of the regular season actually. Alcantech basically had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with all 6 of their cars undercutting each other and bump drafting each other. So certainly good. I can't wait to see how this season is going to progress. It's looking very good for Bright Esports though at the moment with the 1, 2, 3 at the front.
It is. They are the reigning teams champions, clearly taking that into this season as well. As Aronson looks to the inside for the lead, we've got just over 50 laps, remaining in this race, the opening round of the season. And Aronson goes through to the front. Bohlin almost letting him have that one. The two are separated by 4 laps in terms of tyres, and Aronson just waited a little bit longer to pit. And I have to say, I criticised him for it at the time, but he's clearly receiving the benefits of it now, taking that lead away on lap 59.
Yeah, he'll definitely have the margin in those tyres to keep moving forward. Broström is doing the same. Last time I mentioned, I think we said he was about 9 seconds off the lead. He's now down to 6. So the new tyres are better. But of course, it takes time and it takes laps to get that back. So while you have the speed, but you're 10 seconds back, mate. So you've got to keep coming forward. And we're going to see how long it's going to take him to get those extra 6 seconds. I think it got up to about 3 seconds before all the pit stops started to happen. So he is getting there to where he was previously. But then hopefully he can then make advances on that. And of course, we are going to be looking up towards somewhere around, I guess, lap between 70 and 90 or so for those final pit stops.
Yeah, it sort of depends where you pitted last time round, but I would expect if it was up to me anyway, I'd be in around lap 70 actually, maybe just after 72, 3, 4, something like that, to make a second pit stop. And that leaves you with a third of the race remaining, but also leaves you a set of tyres as well, if you want it. That was a close free-wide moment between, I think, 2 battling cars and a lapped car as well. I'm not entirely sure where the 200 is in the field. Who's that? Patrick Pfeiffer in 30th place. Not sure why he was so close to everybody there, but anyway, this is NASCAR, of course, and blue flags don't mean jump out the way immediately.
They certainly do not, and that can always cause a few little issues here and there. But first round of the season, hopefully everyone is keeping nice and calm and not causing each other too many problems. That's always a good thing. As Holmbom is dropping down, is he just coming to the pit lane, or is he having further issues? Not quite sure on that one. I see Fredriksson's also has also been having some issues as well, so he's dropped out at some point that I missed. So a couple of drivers not quite enjoying their race in this mid part.
I wonder whether those were disconnections. Yeah, I think there were internet problems for both of those two, which is a real shame. And I think Cedric might be back. Is he, or have I just lost him? Not entirely sure, but Oscar Fredriksson certainly was an internet problem. Qualified in 4th position for this race, so starting from the 2nd row. Holmbom is back indeed. It was disappointment for him, I'm afraid, but at least he's still in the race. 36th at the moment, and does need another caution to get back onto the lead lap.
Yes, certainly does. And I mean, you were mentioning earlier actually, there's more drivers than I thought that would go down here. and just how close it was looking up towards the front. But at a track where you do get such tyre wear, and even being a fairly long track, 2-miler, 42 seconds lap we're doing at the moment, can still easily go a lap down to the 85, just having a miniature slide there. On the exit of turn number 2, Kenneth Tier gets past Hockenschott, up into 9th place as well. So that's a good run from both of those drivers. Also Nieholm in 8th place. They weren't quite so high as regularly in the standings last year, but they've obviously done some improvements over the summer and are coming back, but they're continuing to go side by side. There's a little bit further down. This is Eric Lundberg for Trashcar Custom. It's his race, his sponsoring of this race, so we do thank you for him, and also all of the other teams and sponsors who are going to get involved with us this season. It's a big thing about this community. Actually, they can name a race, they can call it basically whatever they want. Some of them call it after themselves, some of them call it a bit of a funny title, but here we go. Round the outside, he's going to try and hold on to that one, but unfortunately, he might just lose this place from the 517.
Yeah, through goes Nicholas Helm into 13th, and that's one position up. Oh no, he's back down again. There you go, on Lundberg. So that's 13th place, but only one position gained in the race so far. Lundberg has also been moving forward ever so slightly so far in this race. So they go round lap 65. Getting to the stage now where maybe the second pit stops are going to be made for those who have kept a set of tyres back for this stage in the race. More 3 wide through 1 and 2. There's still much going on up and down the field.
Yeah, an absolute scrap here for Feather Online Gaming's Stefan Wang as he works his way towards turn number 3, the 85 machine. And that car up ahead, that's 61 machine. I do like that. I do like that livery. That is Michael Hagström in that blue machine. Do like that one indeed as he works his way past, and unfortunately the 85 dropping back quite a lot there through turns 3 and 4. As we work our way to lap 66 of 109. We've got Ayrton leading by some 2 seconds. He's pulled away from his teammate Oliver Wallen, and Savicki, their sister teammate, down another second back in that 3rd place. Ericsson and Brewster follow in 4th and 5th before Augustin, Forster and Nieholm, Tier and Hockenschott round out your top 10 as we are working our way now onto lap 67. Here's the number 10 of Cedric Holmbom, who's also left Force and gone to Sim Race Sweden. They've picked up a lot of cars, being one of the youngest, probably actually still the youngest driver on the field, still well into his teenage years. He's coming on very fast in this series. Yeah, and it's always great to see so many younger drivers who are developing quicker and quicker, it feels like these days, and getting better and better from a younger age. Here is Ericsson on board with Jesper Ericsson, trying to get through on Dominic Savicki now for 3rd position. Quite excessively, I would argue, maybe a bit overly dramatically, jumping down to the apron to get the move, but anyway, he's got 3rd place now, and he will set his eyes forward to Oliver Wallin, who has been completely dropped by Alexander Aronson, who's leading this race by some distance now. Yeah, Aronson is looking very, very nice indeed. So he ended the season in 4th place, obviously virtue to the playoff system where you finish in that final race. Obviously judges that for you, but he did get 5 pole positions, 3 wins, and got 13 top 10s as well. So he was always up towards the front there and doing a very good job. So definitely a very strong competitor indeed. Here's Nieholm in the number 58 machine, and looking out the back, he's got quite a few drivers trying to come past him. He's got Kenneth Tier, Hockenschott a little bit further back. He's got Ericsson, Lundberg, all chasing him down this front straight.
It's one long line for 8th position. You just wonder how many more are going to catch on here as well. Sebastian Titmo is only a second or so behind this train. You could catch a very brief glimpse of him right to the right-hand side of the camera shot there. We've also got Jonas Koglund, who's not too far behind either, in 15th position. So this is one long line, and not good news for Nieholm, unfortunately, because if you're the one at the front of the train holding everybody up, then it's very easy for you to lose all of the positions in just the space of a couple of laps.
Absolutely, he's got to keep it in a straight line. Easier said than done with how much sliding we've seen in this car as we come back to the battle, because Savicki around the outside of turn 2 for Bright Esports. Can he make it stick? No, the 37 just coming up across his nose. as they work their way down this back straightaway. Bit of a wiggle to the left, to the right they go. And Saviki's trying to get his nose up the inside, down towards turn 3, side by side they go. They've got a couple of cars in behind them, also having a battle themselves, potentially on some fresher tyres, despite being a lap down. They're getting themselves back on the lead lap. Ericsson once again up into the wall though.
Oh, that wasn't good at all. And this is going to be messy now. Maybe 3 wide on the way towards turn 1. Ericsson looks to... Oh, he tries to pull out on the outside of the car in front and then very nearly went straight into the side of Savicki. That could have been very awkward, but he will get the pass done now. That was all very awkward. This is what happens when you get so deep into a race and people are trying to unlap themselves. People are trying to do whatever, just run their race, do whatever they're doing. And it gets very awkward, some of these interactions.
Oh, it certainly does. It was, I think it was 22 of Emil Rinbach for the Clutch Club Racing that saw the black and pink livery, who managed to get past. Look how much fresher tyres is. They've gone completely up the road. Here's Peter Helmbro, who started on the front row. Unfortunately, he's lapped down, but he's trying to get past as well, as this is just scuppering Ericsson's opportunities to get past in towards turn 1. They go 3 wide for a moment. Savicki goes the high line all the way around the Carl Larson line. Not always used to this track. Not quite good enough, but he'll get the switch back and then down this back straightaway. Unfortunately, there's a bit of slipstream though for Ericsson in behind Peter Helmbro. Is it enough to hold on? No, it's not, because the 6 is still there as we get towards turn 3.
This is going to be a problem for Savicki, I think. Ericsson's going to have the room around the outside and the slipstream again. Oh, and more. How many times is he going to hit the wall off of turn 4? He keeps getting away with it, though. And he's still third somehow. Even despite hitting the wall, he's okay.
Yeah, where's that meme? He can't keep getting away with it. That is Jesper Ericsson in this race so far. And to be honest, this is what hindered him in the playoffs a few months ago. Was in the playoffs, he seemed to just get involved in some more wrecks and some more wall contacts more than any other driver. Of course, that's due to him pushing to the limit, as he always does. We know he is a racer at heart, but got to be careful, because I can't remember exactly which track it was. It's one of the short tracks, maybe Richmond towards the end. He slapped up, did a wall tap like that, and it pushed the front end into the wall, and he might just do it once again.
Well, this is remarkable. The amount of times he's managed it and gotten away with it is quite unbelievable. Edvin Forsland has gone in the wall in a big way, and we avoid caution. Oh, he avoids the wall as well, luckily. That was a pretty hefty hit on the wall, but the fact he's kept it going, facing forward, is something we can all be grateful for, because we take green despite his run through the grass.
Yeah, that could have been very easily a big impact, or at least just a sideways moment enough to bring the caution out. But we continue under green flag racing. We are lap 74 of 109, and we are continuing the race on. We go to Robert Eriksson, who's down in P10. He's got Nyholm in the green machine up ahead of him in the 58 that he's trying to chase down this front straightaway. And it is a nice little battle that is getting involved. They do have some extra cars in and around them just to add some more intrigue into this one. And let's see how it continues for them through turns 1 and 2. Looks like just going to be split up by Eric Lundberg in the 18 machine.
Yeah, it's very busy still out there on the circuit, and these guys about half a lap behind the leader, by the way, so that just shows you again how spread out the field is getting. But there's still so many in the field and so much action around the circuit in this very big group we were talking about earlier on. Nyholm generally losing positions here one by one, and Lundberg I think is going to be the latest to make up a place.
Yes, a nice one there. And let's see how this one continues in towards turn 1. And yes, there he goes. Up the inside, we've got the Håkenschott in the 101 machine as we come down this back straight. So nice little four-way battle that is working their way towards the back straight now onto lap 76 of the race. Realistically, they're not actually too far off the lead. Bratberg is in the pit lane, we just saw there, as he will no, he'll be able to get to the end from there, though it is a bit of a stretch as Håkenschott comes in to take that opportunity as well.
Yeah, so this is around the time I was expecting, maybe a little bit later than what I was expecting actually, in terms of those final pit stops. They will be final if we stay green here. if there is another caution before the end, I think we will see more pit stops made, of course, under that caution. However, for the moment, this is the final planned pit stop for a lot of drivers. At the moment, though, if this race stays green, Alexander Aracingligan is in a stupendously strong position, I would argue. He seems to be the quickest on the circuit by some distance. He could afford to stay out for a couple of extra laps once his closest rivals, make their way into pit lane. And as there you go, speaking of, Jesper Ericsson's in. You won't see Aracingligan react for a few laps yet, I wouldn't have thought.
Yes, I think he'll do the same again. Wait a few laps, get that offset. Well, obviously, he's already at that offset, and he will then continue to have that few laps of offset once they come back into it. So he might have a double jump as such, or will he just cover it off by the same margin? We'll have to find out as we get towards the final pit stop time, potentially final green flag pit stop at least for these drivers. You never know if a caution comes out, but surely if it does, everyone will jump in and take some brand new tyres as the tower's moving all over the place with people moving up and down as Oliver Bohlin from pole position comes down pit road.
Yeah, it is. It's a decent place for him to be. Not quite pole anymore, but he's been running inside the top three for some time now. Into the box he will go eventually. There's his final box, making sure he hits his marks, stops in time. And he'll get another 4 tyres with about 30 laps to go. So what kind of undercut is this going to give him ahead of Aracingligan? I think he's going to have to be out there for at least 3 laps before Aracingligan comes in if he wants to get in the lead, but he's not going to be allowed to as the 24's in.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because Aracingligan had such a margin of those good few seconds that he is able to defend from any sort of undercut anyway. So waited till his teammate came in, covered that one off, and with 29 laps to go, that is a nice fair number to come in. So Broström, Linus in the 71 machine, their teammate continues on to take the lead as he went much longer in that first stint, and he's going to continue that one on. I assume he's not going to go as long, or maybe it's going to be the opposite. Maybe he's going to stay out, hope for a caution, something like that, as he's still in a pretty decent position. They had some gaps behind. No, he is going to follow them in.
He will. So 36 laps out on the circuit, and Linus Broström makes his way into pit lane. Well, this is going to be a 4-tyre stop again, I would imagine. I struggled to find the words there. For a 4-star stop for Broström, and he will lose the lead. Skoglund stays out. Skoglund stays out for the moment. Magnus Haglund as well. So a lot of those drivers who pitted under the first caution and then just after the stage will be able to go longer here. How much longer, though, is the question. Not long enough to the end, but can they catch a caution?
I guess surely your idea's got to be to stay out now. Just wait and wait and wait, because then you'll have the track position should there be a caution. If not, you're going to have fresh tyres at the end. I guess they will be undercut massively, but then again, they've still got the track position. So we'll have to see. I guess realistically, you are waiting for a caution to really make the strategy work. But let's see. We've still got over 20 laps left in this race, but the laps do go down very quickly. So the situation is that we should see Aracingligan still leading the way when everything works itself out. He's in P6 at the moment with some cars ahead to still pit. As we've got Peppels, Broström, Blomqvist, Hogman and Skoglund still yet to make their stop. They've all done between sort of 29 and 37 laps. So they are going to stop before we get to the end of this race. Here is the 24 of Aracingligan for Morby Bright Esports, as he works his way up through Pebbles and down this back straightaway. So much more speed there. I thought he was getting past the back marker, but that was actually full position with the new tyres.
Yeah, new tyres, exactly. One more reason why the caution guys will be staying out for as long as possible, in my opinion, is because even if they do pit now and then another caution comes out later on, they'll only have 2 tyres to throw at this race, unless, of course, they took fuel only under that first caution. But I think some of them may have taken 2 tyres, so that would only leave them 2 more after the next stop to go on to, which could make things a bit tricky. So yeah, I agree. I think they're going to be staying out for as long as possible. Peter Helmbro, though, is not. He comes in after 31 laps, one of the shorter stints. Less than 30 laps to go in this race now, as the fight between Ericsson and Bohlin continues on. Ericsson pitted a lap earlier than Bohlin to get ahead. Now he's having to defend.
Certainly is. Bohlin up the inside. Can he restore the Morby Bright Esports 1-2 that we had for so long in this race? But the Sim Race Sweden driver on the outside, the one that potentially people are dubbing is going to be the champion, but he's got a lot of work to do for that over the next 14 races to get himself inside the playoffs. And this would be the first opportunity. He comes down, the almost contact made as he come across the stripe. They go 3 wide in towards turn 1, past Pebbles. And is that going to be a double overtake for Bohlin? No, he can't complete it, and the 37 holds on.
He does. And that's Ericsson round the outside and again ahead. What's the gap to Eracingligan? It's only getting bigger, just over 3 seconds now. So this is the battle for what will be second place, surely. And you can imagine they're going to fight for this very, very hard until the very end. So Ricky needs to gain and take advantage of this as well. He's a second and a half behind them, and he can very much get himself involved if he puts some quick laps down while they're fighting.
And as we get to lap 85, we'll take a break from the action, but we'll keep you up to date. And you'll see the pictures continue, but we'll take some messages from our partners. And you rejoin us with live pictures here at Auto Club Speedway as we come into the final moments of the first round of the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan's Oval Series. We come right into the battle between Oliver Bohlin and Jesper Eriksson, as it seems Bohlin might have just slid his way past into what is a net second place, with Marcus Hordman still yet to pit with probably 10 laps to go in this race. And it is looking good for a Morby Bright Esports 1-2, but Jesper Eriksson is still trying to dive it down the inside. It's myself, Cam Roger, and Ewan O'Leary alongside me. I'm part of this RaceSpotTV broadcast, and it has certainly been a great one so far. The Trashcar Custom opening 350 at Auto Club Speedway to start the season, and we are yet to find out who is going to get these final places on the podium.
We are, and it's going to be one of these two, I would imagine, in second and third, or two of these two, but in what order is the mystery. Contact on the way down towards turn 1 and 2 as well last time around, just as we were coming back to live pictures, so it's clearly a physical battle, and again Ericsson is dicing with the wall on the outside, that time at the exit of turn 2. but we've got just less than 20 laps to go now, just on 20 laps to go. We are very much bearing down on the finish. Are we going to have an absolutely whopping run to the end of 102 laps? It would be extraordinary.
It certainly would, and it wasn't the biggest crash in the world that brought out the caution back on lap 4 of the race either, as Hogman comes in. So Ericsson retakes the actual net race lead, and the 24 machine is looking good for the win, especially after pitting later than these two drivers that we are seeing on the pictures as well. So we got Ericsson on an 11 lap stint, Bohlin on 12, and then Jesper on 13. So basically they are in reverse order, 1 lap longer than each other. So Jesper is at a losing battle as such, with the tyre wear being such a factor. We've seen drop off of 2 seconds over the course of the stint as Ericsson once more hits the wall on the exit of turn 4.
I can't, even if you were counting on your hands, I think you would have run out of toes even by now for counting how many times Jesper Ericsson has hit the wall off of turn 4. It's been extraordinary, and somehow he's getting away with it every time. So Vicky is the only driver realistically who can take him off the podium now. I think Bohlin has got second place signed and sealed, but it's about third now. Can the 6 get close enough in these final 17 laps, as it will be when they get to the line?
Yeah, I don't know if Jesper's going to have enough. I mean, he's working the wheels so much. This, it's kind of the style, of course, anyway, but I'm sure the wear that's coming into the tyres already as we get towards the mid part of the stint isn't going to be helping that. And especially as you have to push, it's not necessarily fun when you're pushing the vehicle, because the car just sort of gets a little bit unsettled. You want to be that little bit more harsh, a little bit more aggressive with some of the inputs, and then the car just starts sliding, and then it's a snowball effect. You don't want to be overheating those tyres. As we've seen some battles, Ericsson has dropped down to 10th place, Kenneth Tier has jumped up into 9th, so that's quite an important one, up there inside the top 10. There's some important points up there. Then a little bit further down as well in 17th place. Remember, all these drivers are getting points as well, so every position is a point, and that could mean something later on in the season when that can add up over 14 races. If you miss a position every race, that is quite a lot of points missed.
It is, and those playoff places are going to be decided by a very small number of points, I would argue, so very much worth getting the position if you can, or any position that you can. 1 point per position, of course, apart from the gap between first and second, which is 5, but it's win you're in anyway, so it doesn't particularly matter how many points there is between first and second. As you can see, those recycled through the field. There's so many battles still ongoing here in the other part of the field, even if the top 4 positions seem fairly secure for now.
Someone that I've noticed has dropped down a little bit from where I quite expected was Linus Broström, 5th place, a 71 machine for Morby Bright Esports. He's 11 seconds off the lead, and he was about 6 seconds off coming to that final pit stop, and he only pit sort of 1 lap difference really to the leaders, so it wasn't like he got undercut massively, but he's actually lost more time. So I don't know if there was some traffic involved there, maybe just a slightly slower pit stop for some reason, but just not the ideal way he would have wanted. P5 is still a strong place to start the season though, as he does look like he has Melvin Åkesson all sorted in behind. But look at this gaggle of cars down the back straight. I think this is Lundberg, the 18 of Lundberg, trying to make his way through a little bit further down the field in 11th place. He's got a lot of cars up ahead of him actually in a short space of time. So you've got Kenneth Tier, Nyholm, Schott all ahead of him.
By the way, Linus Broström's lane time is the reason, is the answer you're looking for. 48 seconds in the lane, as opposed to about 44, is what it should have been. His actual box time was fine, but I wonder whether he missed his box or whether he span on the way to pit lane or something. That's where all that time was lost, but he is still looking fairly secure for a top 5, which is a good start to the season.
Yeah, good spot on that pit lane. It's a tricky one. In any case, with these, with any sort of oval car in general, because the car basically is turning left and you're trying to brake and you're not really using the brakes, so they're all cold. It's not the ideal situation to try and get it down to pit limiter speed. Then, of course, then you've got to find your box. Hopefully, you can see it, and then you make it actually into the box itself to activate the pit stop. That would be quite a good one as well. So, definitely a place where you can lose a valuable time. Let's see this one from Linus. Comes in. He does go, yeah, goes a little bit far, then he has to come back, then he has to wait, and then the crew are moving about. So yeah, it's definitely adding a few seconds.
Yeah, there's your gap. I think any hopes of getting onto the podium or even fourth place were difficult for him anyway. However, it would have been good to try, and he effectively denied himself that opportunity. So he'll be disappointed with that, as we've got a huge plume of smoke off of 4 here.
And is that exactly the same as we saw earlier from one of these Sim Race Sweden cars who went around similar fashion, but no caution came out?
Yeah, it looks like it. We certainly stayed green. It was Edwin Forsland earlier on, by the way, in case you weren't with us, who spun into the wall on the inside, actually, but didn't go all the way around, didn't bring out a caution. It looks like we got away with another one.
We have Zachrison and Bratberg in the pit lane now. I wonder if they span and then had to go in the pit lane, or if they were able to get to the right of the pit wall, like, as you say, like we saw Forsland a little bit earlier on in the races. Kenneth Tears moved up to 7th place. He's got past Hawkins Shot. What a race he's having. Must be one of his best finishes ever. Actually, Hawkins Shot 101 gets past. It was Bratberg. So he... Was that a late... Yeah, I think that was a late decision. I think he was like, oh no, I need to get into the pit lane. That's what it looked like to me.
Do you think? I don't know. It looked... Well, I can't really decide. I think it looked like a normal spin to me, but you might be right. He certainly threw up a lot of smoke, but didn't quite spin round enough to... Yeah, let's have a look here. Is he coming in? Not for me. I think he's just sliding.
Crikey.
I think he's just sliding, and then maybe decides to come in afterwards. But you're right. The move at the end to move left does make it look like he wanted to come in all along.
Yeah, because the natural line would have been to move up a little bit more. So definitely a weird one with that. But either way, he ended up in the pit lane, whether he wanted to or not. It was sliding for a long time. Someone's up in the wall a little bit further back. And he's just scraping it. But I think that might just be okay with the Sim Race Sweden car at the back of this little train. And so they are obviously continuing on as it stands. We're on lap 100. 9 laps to go. And up towards the front, we got the 6 now, trying to get past the 37.
Oh.
Can Bright Esports get a 1, 2, 3?
That was so close to disaster between the two, by the way. Ericsson was squeezing Savicki so much, he nearly span himself straight into the inside wall, and it wouldn't have been the 6's fault because he was just standing his ground. That was remarkable. But Ericsson's run on the outside of turn 2 here should be enough to get the position back again.
Yeah, hopefully for him, but the 6 is going to keep trying down the inside. For Bright Esports, he's going to go. He's going to come down basically to the apron, a line we haven't necessarily seen working today, but is there enough tyre life to hold it down as he comes down this front straightaway? It looks like he's kept some pretty decent momentum, actually, where the 37 will gain about a car length down this front straightaway. They do have Bohlin not too far ahead. So actually the 6, who does have the fresher tyres of both Ericsson and Bohlin, he might be able to make something work in these final few laps.
Oh dear, that was close again. Ericsson pulls back to the inside all over again. This is going to be a fantastic final 7 laps between these two. We know that Ericsson doesn't leave anything on the table, not least with his own car and others as well. So Vicky's not going to give this one up either. I think Ericsson wanted to pull in front of the 6 there, but just couldn't quite do it.
Yeah, then he had to back out of it, and that has lost his momentum as we work our way onto another lap. 1:03 we go. Ayrton has got this one sewn up by 5 seconds. Bohlin is slowing down, and he's now going to be under threat from his sister teammate, the 6, who's coming back massively in this final race. What a race it's going to be. He's already up 3 positions from his grid. Can he gain a 4th?
Well, let's see. He's side by side again on the way in towards turns 1 and 2. This has been by far the biggest group of the race, and by far the most interesting in terms of that numerous battle we see right in the midfield. Would have been nice, of course, to see this kind of thing for the lead, but Ayrton's just been so dominant. Still plenty of positions to be settled as Neil gets down the inside again in towards 3 and 4, looking for the place, but it's never really going to work. So tightly tucked on the inside.
Yeah, Tidemo doing a good job there and that is a P11 for the 1:38 machine, and there's definitely some big battles to have in these final 5 laps of the race. Trashcar Customs opening 350 has been eventful despite only having one caution 100 laps ago. Can we go 105 laps green to the end of the race? We will certainly work that out in the next 10 miles of action. Auto Club Speedway, of course, being demolished in real life, but I'm glad we have it in the sim because it's such a nice raceable circuit with the high tyre wear, the different lines that can be taken. The battles have gone on for a long time. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm pretty disappointed they're getting rid of it in real life, to be honest, because it's a fantastic circuit. So many lines to be taken, especially when the tyres are going away from you. Gives you plenty of opportunities to find different places to try and go through and find different ways in which to go through as well. Though towards the end here, people have started to find a bit of common ground as far as racing lines are concerned. So we go on board with the battle for second place all over again here. I thought Bohlin was home and dry, but clearly not. He is under pressure again here with, what's that, 4 laps to go.
Oh, he definitely is. Saviki's just 1 lap fresher. That's all it is. But it just makes such a big difference. We are 1.5 or so seconds a lap off, maybe closer to maybe 1.7 seconds off the pace. So we are at that point where the tyre wear is a factor. It looks like they've got Ericsson covered in behind, and they don't have any further battles because Brewstrom is quite far behind. So it's just these cars to focus on to the end. Lap 106 being completed. 3 laps remaining in this race. And I think Bohlin is going to have a big chance, as in the background, Ericsson almost came up into that traffic and ended his race once more.
Yeah, he was religiously getting close to the wall off of turn 4 and was seemingly going to do it even whether there was a car there or not. But in the end, just had to back out of it. It was so close to making a lot of contact there, and that would have been absolutely disastrous. Thankfully, backed out of it, and he will now set his sights again on this fight for second. But Savicki has been the fastest driver of the 3 in these final few moments, closing on Bohlin, who is trying desperately to hang on to this position.
And look at all these other cars getting involved. There's Helmbro in there from your front row. Not going to be involved in the front row of final positions. As, oh no, there's contact. Car in the wall. The 6 makes definite contact there of a lapped car. Is that going to hinder his performance? It looks like he was able to keep the momentum though, but this is not good with Helmbro diving in his inside when he's trying to get Bohlin.
Yeah, will that give him any damage now that just holds him back? I think it has just taken the momentum out of him a little bit here. He's got a lap car in between himself and his main rival now as well, as have Ericsson and Savicki. So this is becoming tricky now for anybody to make up places because the white flag's just around the corner.
Absolutely is. Just 2 and a bit miles remain. The first race of the season. The Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan is back for the 24-25 season. Between now and May, we've got plenty of racing coming your way, and this is just the first of many white flags that we're going to see this season. Ericsson is leading fairly comfortably, but for second place, this is 2 teammates of Bohlin and Savicki going for it, trying to hold off Ericsson, who I think is definitely out of this battle now. As we come out onto the back straight, is the 6 going to be close enough? No, he slides and he loses some momentum.
Yeah, so down the straight they'll go again, fighting with one another for second, but up front is this man. Alexander Ericsson has been so strong all day long and is going to take a deserved first round win.
Absolutely. The Trashcar Customs opening 350 goes to the 24, and Ericsson, he moved teams, but he stays in the same livery, the same car number, and it's the same result with him getting a race victory first round of the season. Second place will be his teammate Oliver Bohlin, so Morby Esports, Bright Esports 1-2, then Bright Esports getting a third car in third place as well. Across the line, it's going to be a big battle. Hockenschott just about holds on to 10th place in the 101 machine with some good names actually up towards the front inside that top 10 like Kenneth Tier, Lundberg, Tidemo, not ones we necessarily saw up there consistently last season, but the 24, he moves to Morby Bright Esports and he will take victory in his first race for them here in the Svenska Bohlin Eracingligan, and we can't wait to see how he goes and potentially puts forward a championship charge.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have the pressure taken off of him for the rest of the regular season now. He will just be going for the race wins, of course, but What a fantastic feeling it must be to get that first round win, and he's going to try and do some donuts on the front straight as well. Bit tricky, but he's going to give it a go. Thoroughly deserved that win, that's for sure. He led most of the laps of the race. I'm sure he'll get the maximum complement of points in that regard, and he will be very pleased with his drive as well. After all of those laps. A long green flag run to end the race, of course, over 330 kilometres towards the end of that race under green. Only lost just under 10 kilometres of the race because it was a very clean race and only one caution within it.
Yeah, absolutely. So he didn't get fastest lap. Unfortunately, he'll miss a point from that. But he will get a lap led, most laps led. So he's looking very good on some bonus points there. Here is your unofficial results after 109 laps of racing. Just the one caution today. It was Ericsson leading the way by 6 seconds from his teammate Oliver Bohlin, who of course is ever improving. Then we've got Savicki in third place, Ericsson in fourth, and Linus Broström, your series organizer there, in P5. Then we have Åkesson, Tyr, Lundberg, Tademo, and Håkan Schott rounding out your top 10. And there was Jesper Eriksson actually getting the fastest lap there on lap 9. Robert Eriksson will be in P11 before we get to Dan Holmer. That's not bad from Dan Holmer, actually. Bear in mind, he started on the back row, the second to last row, up into P12. Then we have Nyholm, Helm, Skoglund, Hawkman, who dropped down a little bit after alternate strategy. And we've got Stiller, Alto, Blumberg, and Wang in the top 20. And of course, a huge line of cars, but many of them were a lap down. Broström, Helmberger, Forsland, Peppels, Dahlström inside your top 25. Cedric Holmbaum, we had some internet issues, lost some time with that. He's down to P26. Strömberg, Gantz, Hogström, and Nordgren inside your top 30. Then we have Fredriksson, who also had some issues. He's 2 laps down with Pfeffer, Motin, Zakrasson, who's also looked for him to be higher up in some other races. Wildeber, Reinbach, Bratberg, Kinnell, and Forshall, your 39 cars here for the first round of the season. And hopefully many of them will continue to come back and entertain us every Thursday evening here for Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan. We will now go to some interviews and let's see what we can do and get some drivers in. Let's start with, of course, the winner, Alex Eriksson in the number 24 machine. And Alex, congratulations, your first race victory of the season. Firstly, I just wanted to ask you, though, of course, moving over to Morby Bright Esports, just how was that transition from Force last year? It seems to be working.
Yeah, I have to say so. It seems to be working pretty well. And, we were able to bring a fast Morby Höbela Camaro to the first race. And that obviously helps when you have good speed. And I think I've managed to fit in pretty well with the team and gel with them. And that showed in the result today.
Yeah, absolutely. And we obviously knew the car for a little bit of time. So how was the practice going, getting to speed with that compared to the next-gen car last year?
Well, practice has been going pretty well. I've been good on long runs all week. Didn't really have the short run pace, or at least qualifying pace that I wanted to, but I knew I had long run pace to match Oliver and Jesper and other fast guys. So I felt pretty comfortable going into the weekend. And with this being my favorite car and the one I raced most in iRacing overall, I was pretty confident going into the weekend.
Yeah, so not much practice needed then. This car has a lot more tyre wear than what we saw last year, and also one less set of tyres per race. So how do you think that is going to be over the season? If we get races like this where we go green a long time, it seems like you may be the driver to have the control over a whole stint.
Well, that remains to be seen. This was just one track, but obviously you need to think a bit more about when you push and when you just ride, basically in the back, but just ride and save tires, and then push when you need to. So yeah.
Yeah, not bad. And of course, you've basically confirmed yourself in the playoffs as well. So we will be seeing you later on in the season with that. So we wish you luck for the rest of the regular season and try and get as many playoff points as you can.
Yeah, that's going to be the goal from now on to the playoffs. So thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.
Yep, see you next time. Next, we will bring in Oliver Bohlin, of course, in the 72 Morby Bright Esports machine. And Oliver, you've improved a lot over the last few months, especially at the end of the previous season. You came massively towards the front. How do you think you're going to fare this season? It's looking very strong already.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I felt I had gotten a lot of, but yeah, I need to be better at saving tires. Tire whisperer Alex had the upper edge, but yeah, hopefully speed will continue throughout all the way to the playoffs. But that's long. Everyone.
Yes, certainly is. And obviously you were fairly close today, just 6 seconds behind Alex. So do you feel confident that you can get a victory this season?
Well, yeah, I would say I have this race played out very oddly with so few cautions. I would have thought that it would be more cautions and then cautions threw up some kind of random to it as well, but I feel I have this.
Yeah, absolutely. You're looking very good. So congratulations for second place today, and well done holding off Jesper at the end there. We'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.
And then next we'll bring in Dominic Savicki of the number 6 Bright Esports machine. And Dominic, of course, didn't race last season, but jumping in with Bright Esports this year in the number 6 car. It looks like it's a very nice debut for you this season, beating, of course, Jesper Eriksson in that last stint. Just how was that battle at the end?
Hey guys, yeah, it's amazing to be racing here in this season, especially with this debut. It was amazing. I had really good race. I had a fun battle with the competitors up front, and I didn't expect to finish so high actually, but it was really good, and I'm very glad.
Yeah, absolutely. And how is the vibe in Bright Esports, because you've effectively got a 1-2-3 here with 2 of your teams, so that's good not just for the team in general but also for the championship. So yeah, it must be feeling quite nice right now.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. Everyone is so happy, and yeah, it's cool to be part of Bright Esports. I'm very thankful that they actually messaged me if I want to race with them, and I had quite a long break, but I managed to race here, and it's great. The team, the atmosphere is amazing. So I guess we are onto it this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And in a couple of weeks' time, we go to Bristol, a completely different circuit to Auto Club. How do you think you're going to fare at that track?
In general, I like short tracks more, but Bristol is a little bit different, as you know. It will be a little bit random, I think, but I'll be glad to finish top 5 again, if that's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you have a good opportunity to do that. So good luck with practice, and hopefully we'll speak to you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you. That would be nice.
Absolutely. So that was the top 3 and the podium here for the first round of the Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan. The Trashcar Custom opening 350 went, of course, to Alex Aracingligan. The 24 machine for Morby Bright Esports, they have certainly come out the blocks flying. A 1-2-3 finish for them. And let's see how this one goes. Still plenty of racing to go. We have 13 races left in the regular season. And the next one is the Bristol 300, the 12th of September. 8 p.m. Central European time, as always. Myself, Cam Roger, and Ewan O'Leary has been alongside me in the commentary box. We'll be joining you in a couple of weeks for that, but also next week we start the road course series as well. That is going to be a load of fun. So racing every week, alternating between oval and road, and let's see how this all goes. It's starting up again here for Bohlin Svenska Eracingligan. We can't wait to see how it goes. As I said, it's been myself, Cam Roger, Ewan O'Leary alongside me, and Hugo Luis doing the production of this RaceSpotTV broadcast. And until next time, we'll see you then.